released the Blender's version 5 update, I've been on a bit of a grease pencil kick recently. And because of that, a bit ago I made a model of Jax with the face made and animated with grease pencil, and I think I've mostly finished it. Let's talk about my process for making it. Howdy hey, welcome to the Crystal Cafe. I'm Rublin Woolsworth, your host for today. Before we go into the technical stuff, I want to talk about my thought process for using Jax as the basis. If all you want is the technical stuff, then I've added timestamps for you. I actually wanted to make a grease pencil face rig before I knew what character to make it with, so it was like I was choosing a vessel for my experimentation. I decided to go with Jax because their design and face is honestly really simple while still being very expressive. And while I technically already made a Jax face rig before, that was made to replicate the show's model, and I wanted to make a more stylized version to make it more distinct as my own work. Stylizing it also allowed me to give my own spin on the character design, even if the design changes are ultimately rather subtle. Jax being a prominent character in episode 6 gave me a ton of great reference expressions. When it became time to test the rig, I was hesitant on making the open mouth expression, but I ended up making it anyways once I realized I could just reuse the normal mouth and add things like teeth and the tongue afterwards. I also did some lip sync tests, one from the show to get the hang of how Glitch does it, and another being a joke audio clip to put the experience from the first test into practice. I'll be showing them at full at the end of the video, so be sure to wait around for those. Now let's get into the fun stuff, starting with the model itself. When making the model, I decided to use flat emission materials and colors with outlines to match, because my reference was actually the 2D render instead of the 3D model itself. To reflect this with a grease pencil, in the visibility tab of the object properties, I unticked use lights to make it emissive like the rest of the model. I inverted the normals of the head so I could place the face rig inside it. As for the face itself, when I make face rigs, I usually prefer shape keys over joints, but to my knowledge, grease pencil doesn't have much in the way of shape keys, the closest being making an individual animation for each expression. So I decided to knock out two birds with one stone by brushing up on my knowledge of joint rigs as well. It's just as well anyways, because in my opinion, the flexibility of a joint rig works way better for a cartoony character like Jax without having to make a ton of individual different shape keys, or blend shapes, whatever you prefer to call them. Instead of drawing the grease pencil in, well, draw mode, I used curves in edit mode to make the face, which drastically decreases the amount of points in the drawing. And to take advantage of this, I added a bone for every 2 points, so that way I don't have like a bajillion bones while still having full control over the expressions. And because of that, I've been able to get pretty creative with the expressions. I made the teeth and irises on separate layers to mask them to the mouth and eyes. That way they don't clip off the face and I don't have to worry about them when animating. For things like the eyebrows and wrinkles, I decided to make those individual layers and toggle them on and off with drivers, and separate the bones for each part into their own collections for ease of visibility. Of course, I control the visibility of these with this cute little remote to the side. Since it's just a bunch of toggles, it would probably be better just to make a bunch of Boolean array custom properties for the armature, but honestly it's more fun to mess with a little controller box filled with sliders. It makes the sometimes tedious act of animating a little bit more fun, even if it's not as practical. As it turns out, the grease pencil doesn't really like being curved via shrink wrap modifier, or curved in general really, especially with filled materials. So my solution was just to make the face flat and rotate it with pre-made animations if I ever need a side camera angle. Plus that gives me another slider to play with, so I'm happy. To make sure the back of the face doesn't show, I made different planes for each part of the face with the same material as the head. It's a simple solution, but it works better than when I tried to use grease pencil for it, since there was some weird layering issues going on whenever I tried to rotate the head. In the future, I might just replace these with curves that follow the grease pencil's bone structure. We'll see. When it came to 2D eye movement, I made a simple IK bone setup that followed the controllers around, giving a more convincing looking around motion. While this is usually reserved for 3D rigs, I got around it by separating the iris and IK bones, and blocking the y-axis of the iris bones and making them follow the tails of the IK ones. I think that's pretty much it, at least for the specifics. And I'm sure there are some areas to optimize or explain better, so if you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. Not gonna lie, I had a lot of fun making this rig, even with the quirks I had to work out when starting the project. I plan to use a style of rig in the future for at the very least the rest of the Digital Circus cast. What do you, the audience, think of this face rigging method? Have you made something similar before? To close out the video, here are those animations I promised earlier. Oh, and spoilers for episode 6 of the Amazing Digital Circus. Kind of. You'll see. Enjoy!
Alright, here's one. What's with the corn thing?
What corn thing?
Why are you afraid of corn? And don't say that you're not. You literally jumped out of your seat twice when you saw some.
Not gonna let me out of this one. Well, I don't know, it's got a bunch of little pods on it. Looks kind of like an egg sac or something. It's gross. Makes my skin crawl.
Interesting. Do you have like a type of trypophobia?
What's that?
The fear of lots of little holes.
Yeah.
Okay. How about pomegranates?
Awful.
I'm learning a lot about you today.
Let's not forget we're here to kill people. We still need to find out where Nutso went before we can rest easy.
I'm right behind you, aren't I?
You need my help? This is a very interesting situation. One doesn't get in a situation like this every day.
Tell me about it.
I mean, you can't even do this. Look at me, 2 hands, whoopity-doo. I can move about freely, whoopity-woo. Oh, you hungry?
Thanks, I love apples.
I hate apples.
Ian!
Hey, thanks for watching till the end. If you want to see more of this content, then feel free to like and subscribe, but be warned, I mostly do shorts. If I can make my point in a minute 30 or less, then I usually just make the topic a short instead of dragging it out like a true YouTuber. Plus, long recording sessions typically bring out the worst in me, so we'll see how many videos I ultimately make. Bye!